the government knows when it is collecting that information, it is likely to pick up the information about Americans. And their procedures are designed to exploit that very fact.
In other words, typically if you want to surveil an American citizen, you need a warrant. Not the kind of warrant you get in a counterintelligence investigation. We've talked about this, probable cause that somebody is a foreign agent or working for a foreign government and that sort of thing. No, probable cause that a crime has been committed. That's the criminal side, not the counterintelligence side. What happened, though, in increasing number of cases, as you saw, is so-called incidental information. They've tapped into, one way or another, a foreign person, an ambassador, whatever, they're listening in, and an American comes on. And not that they're doing anything nefarious or whatever. Maybe they want to talk to the guy. Maybe they have a business deal they want to do. Maybe they can't stand that, whatever it is. And so they say, oh, that's an incidental collection of information. They're supposed to segregate that. Upon listening to it, they're not supposed to transcribe it unless there's some evidence that they're involved in nefarious activities, either in the counterintelligence area, and if they feel in the criminal area, they refer it to the FBI. You don't just start unmasking names of American citizens, putting in a report and spreading it to 17 agencies and departments, and then members of Congress get to see them. Because those are what we call police state tactics. That's domestic surveillance of American citizens. I don't care if they're in the Trump campaign or the Trump transition, or if it's Sally Smith who has nothing to do with anything. Your government is not supposed to be doing this sort of thing. And yet under Obama, you saw the chart. Through the roof. Through the roof, the unmasking of American citizens. Through the roof, the surveillance. Now, this is a man, they say, we need to do this for terrorism purposes. Let me ask you a question. Was Obama a great anti-terrorist president? In fact, during the early parts of his administration, you weren't even allowed to call a terrorist a terrorist. Let's stop playing games. This isn't Ronald Reagan trying to get the enemy. Barack Obama was a pacifist in many respects. Words you weren't even allowed to use. They jacked up all this intelligence gathering, and it was used. And it was used, and let me say this, it was used and it's being used now. It's being leaked to the media. It's being leaked to the media. You heard Evelyn Farkas. You heard what she said. It's not a joke. Circa May 24th, just a week ago or so, Sarah Carter, again, looks at classified document from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. This is amazing. They get their warrant to conduct counterintelligence surveillance of certain individuals or organizations, right? And they abuse it. And they abuse it. And the judge is furious about it. Go ahead.
Just days before President Trump was elected, the National Security Agency revealed it had illegally conducted searches on roughly 1 in 20 Americans. The NSA admitted to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, which approved searches on Americans, it had violated its own rules. The court chided the Obama administration, saying it was a very serious Fourth Amendment issue, and said the extent of the violations amounted to an institutional lack of candor, according to recently declassified documents.
Stop. This is what the court said. Have you heard a word of this on CNN? Maybe they did it quickly in passing so you wouldn't notice, or MSNBC, or NBC, CBS, ABC, and all the rest of it. This is a big story. This is a federal judge sitting as a judge on the FISA court. Go ahead.
A day after Circa revealed these declassified documents from the courts, a federal appeals court in Virginia revived a lawsuit by the nonprofit Wikimedia Group and the ACLU, challenging the agency's collection of various digital communications that privacy advocates told us is a gross violation of civil rights.
When they're asking questions, they're not getting answers from the intelligence agencies. And if the public is not getting answers, it's very difficult to make sure that what those agencies are doing is really consistent with U.S. values.
The NSA acknowledged it self-disclosed the mass violations to the court last fall, and that in April, it took the extraordinary step of suspending these type of searches. For Circa in Washington, I'm Sarah Carter.
But there's more. The extent of this, there's more. Go.
The FBI illegally shared data it collected with unauthorized third parties and federal contractors, according to a document recently declassified by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. 10 pages of the document from the FISA court show a history of violations in the FBI, like one case where foreign intelligence data on an American in the U.S. was disclosed to a forbidden party. Amy Jeffries, who the FISA court appointed to assess the FBI, wrote in the document the Bureau does not distinguish between U.S. and non-U.S. persons.
Think Mr. Comey will be asked about this? Think Mr. Comey, this occurred under Mr. Comey. The now great Comey, who's going to take down Trump. And he pressured me, obstruction, the leaker. He's a leaker. Keeps memos. Mark, all lawyers keep memos. Well, all FBI directors don't. I happen to know that for a fact. Go ahead.
In its databases. That allowed the FBI to query data on an American for purposes of any criminal investigation or even an assessment.
So they circumvented the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution. They circumvented the Due Process Clause. They circumvented the probable cause aspect of the Constitution. Circumvented it. Go ahead.
The Obama administration changed the minimization rules outlined in Section 702 of the FISA Act to aid the intelligence community's fight against terror threats like terror cells, lone wolf attacks, and cyber attacks. Jeffries concluded the FBI's minimization procedures do not provide sufficient safeguards to protect the privacy and civil liberties interests at stake. This comes despite public assurances made on May 3rd by former FBI Director James Comey that the data used by the Bureau was
lawfully collected, carefully overseen and checked.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill say Fourth Amendment protections need to be assured.
If this develops in the way it appears to be going, it'll be bigger than anything else we've talked about quite a while.
Lawmakers have told Circa they want the law to be revised, and behind closed doors, they're doing just that.
Now, this is crucial. And Fox did a piece on this too. The Obama administration distributed thousands of intelligence reports with unredacted names of American citizens. And by the way, again, including the names Trump and the Trump transition members and so forth and so on. Go ahead.
On the day President Obama visited Los Angeles last October to yuck it up with Jimmy Kimmel, lawyers for the National Security Agency were quietly informing the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court that NSA had systematically violated the rights of countless...
NSA, FBI. And I'm a law enforcement guy and a national security guy. This did not happen under Ronald Reagan when I served for 8 years. It's at the top. The attitude, the psychology, the policies, that's Obama. That's Obama. That's his senior staff. Go ahead.
Americans, a subject covered ironically on Kimmel's program.
People expect the government to monitor this enough to protect them from bad guys. But they worry that if government is in there too much, then who's going to protect them from government?
Declassified documents first obtained by the news outlet Circa show the FISA court sharply rebuked the administration. With greater frequency than previously disclosed to the court, NSA analysts had used U.S. person identifiers to query the results of Internet
That's enough. Oh, these incidental communications are just unbelievable, aren't they? Then there was a Reuters story. Somebody leaked stuff to Reuters. And I talked about this on the radio. But this is very, very important because, as you can see, I'm closing circles, opening avenues, opening avenues. The extent of this is unbelievable, unbelievable. I've never, ever seen anything like this in my life, and neither have you. Check this out. Reuters, go ahead.
Michael Flynn and other advisors to Donald Trump's presidential campaign were in touch with Kremlin-linked individuals at least 18 times last year.
Stop. How do they know that? How do they know Michael Flynn was in touch with Kremlin officials 18 times last year? More on that in a second.